to other classrooms, they're pretty much in a way cookie cutter. I mean, they'll add like their little spunk, like little things like "Have a good day," stuff like that, neon signs or whatever. But for the most part, we all have the same posters, the same word cards. It's pretty much the same, and it's supposed to be a small group. So some of them do have desks, but it's like a kidney type.
Like the semicircle. Okay, gotcha.
Most of us have kidney desks, or they use regular classroom desks, and then they try to create a kidney shape.
For the small group interventions. Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess what that leads me into is what is your belief or your idea in creating spaces for students?
I mean, I think the main thing is like what we discussed in the class last time. Try to make it, talk to them. Try to communicate. Communication with them is, super important. Because if they don't feel relaxed, because it's interesting because the majority of them, they know that they struggle with reading, even though they're little, because sometimes they don't understand, why they're there, but the majority of them understand that they struggle. And so if you don't make a safe environment for them, they won't be comfortable in trying, making mistakes. So I try to talk to them pretty much every day when class begins. I use like 3-5 minutes to talk about whatever, especially like on a Monday, or like if something happened like Halloween, we talked about that. Or if there's like something like it's really interesting because I think they feel like really comfortable with me. And it's almost like when they see me, they all want to talk to me like, like they want to tell me about their day, somebody's bullying them, blah, 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 whatever. Like some of them can't wait to tell me something. I'm sure that happens in high school too, or not so much. But I think it depends on the teacher. Like if you create a welcoming environment, they're gonna feel comfortable to talk. It's almost like therapy.
No, for sure. Teachers are snack vendors. Snack distributors, therapists, counselors, sometimes even mom and dad. So sometimes you're left thinking like, what did I teach today? Sometimes it really is like that, especially in high school, because they're adapting to young adulthood, and they're discovering themselves, and also trying to focus on academic work and meeting those standards and expectations from teachers, parents, all these sides. So it's a lot for them to balance, but I guess that leads us to something that Dakota Irby said or mentioned in the article about creating these spaces for students, especially urban students or in urban classroom settings. It's more about just the physical aspect, it's more than just having the posters on the wall. But much like you said, we have to create that welcoming environment for those students to feel comfortable, relaxed, and safe for them to participate and engage in the material. And so, how do we create that space that fosters both, identity and agency? What are your thoughts on that?
So pretty much just making them feel like they they're being listened to, like they matter to you. If they feel like you care about them, then they're going to engage and they're going to want to listen to you and follow instructions. even with the most difficult students, I've had a couple where I've had behavior issues, but once I talk to them and I tell them, hey, you know what, I'm trying to help you here. And if you just like literally just talk to them like adults, like, hey, I've never disrespected you. Why are you treating me like this? I'm literally trying to help you. For the rest of your high school, your educational years, I'm trying to help you. And so once I talk to them, like actually talk to them like in a logical, reasonable way, they step back. They step back and they reflect, and they understand that they need to be respectful and engaging, participating. So I think that's one of the main things, because they feel it. They feel it. As adults, like we know when somebody just like a look, like somebody gives you a look, or like just a tone, the way that they talk to you. If you feel that vibe, you're gonna be like, oh, whatever, man. Like, I'm not gonna talk to you. I'm not gonna listen to you. So the same with kids. Like they're able to pick that up.
They're very receptive. They absorb everything that's around them, and so I think that really adds this focus for educators that we need to recognize their different lived experiences, because these kids come from all over. They're not cookie cutter kids. And I think that's something that resonates like in the readings that we've done.
Like the reading that I did on They Come With Nothing. It's a really interesting study that talks specifically about ELL learners. And it's pretty much a study that involved like 147 teachers, right? And they had a controlled group, and they followed them for like 2 years. And so they had to do like surveys like every 2 weeks or so. I forget how many times, but they had to answer questions, and they measuring their progress or their lack of. And in some of their responses that really stood out to me was there was a teacher. I'll give you two of the responses. One of the teachers said, says that, she was relating. She was saying that typically kids that don't know English, they don't go to church. So she was connecting their morals, and she said that they were one treatment teacher even connected lack of English with heathenism. Because they didn't go to church.
Right.
And so I found that very interesting. So she connected it with the morals. And then there was another teacher that said that this doesn't happen in my classroom. So it was like she was implying that she's proud that the kids speaking Spanish does not happen in her classroom. And then there was another one that said, well, that doesn't exist, which is commonly used with the phrase that the children come with nothing, that's the title of this study. And so which pretty much she ignores that this resource that she has, that these kids they have this language, and she doesn't try to use it, try to
leverage,
like you said, like leverage it. Yes. And so she was like pretty much just completely blowing it off, which reminds me, when I came here to the United States, I came in when I was in second grade. And so I came in with no English. And I came in, and when I first walked into the classroom, I saw this tall lady, Hispanic lady. And so immediately I felt like a sense of ease, because she was,
you felt that like
connection. I was like, okay, well, I didn't think about the whole language thing factor, but I just she I had that I had that connection with her, right? And so, but it turned out like later on in hindsight, she was one of those persons that growing up here in the United States at that time, like they forbid her speaking any Spanish. Yeah. So this tall Hispanic looking lady, she didn't know Spanish.
Oh, yeah.
And so here I am with no English, and I flunked. I flunked second grade. I got retained, and so that was my first experience with that. But that was like a domino effect for like the rest of my educational years. Yeah. So I feel like that happens. It happens a lot still. Yeah.
So that definitely plays a role in like the social and emotional learning environment that we create for students. So we want to be able to create a sense of belonging, like where these students can thrive. And like you said, the study that you mentioned, it really highlights the importance of like recognizing those individual backgrounds, and especially for students that are historically like marginalized, and using that knowledge that they have to bridge these other knowledge gaps.
For sure.
Yeah. So, in doing so, it creates a safe environment for them, and it empowers them for, success, both in and out of the classroom. So, you're talking about both social and academic success.
And now, students that have to face the whole technology aspect of things. When I was, because I'm 48, so, I didn't have to deal with any of the whole what's happening now. But in the book, in CRT, in chapter 5, it talks about technology, and it talks about how there was this one study that mentions that that minorities they're still they're continuously being depicted in a negative way. And there was one specific study that that talks about gaming. Where is it at? Yeah, so Nakamura and Chow White 2012 focused on gaming, and they found that discrimination toward racial minorities and females was prolific in the gaming communities. Racial minorities were frequently depicted as criminals and gangsters. And so that, like these kids now, they still see those images, like those stereotypes, and that only perpetuates, that feeling that's how the world views them. And then on top of that, what's happening too in the same chapter, it talks about how people we are determined to give human qualities to objects and content, to treat each other as things. So there's also that human connection. Like some teachers try to use technology as a resource to connect, or so students can connect. But that also is backfiring. They're finding that is backfiring because that's not real connection. They're not socialized. They're not truly socializing. They rather like text each other than to talk with people. And so this can further marginalize, like those groups, those racial groups.
Right. So basically, what you're saying is that like, in not having that like social connection because of these, technological boundaries that exist, social media, texting, cell phones. So basically, students and maybe even like teachers or educators are failing to realize like the diverse background or like the different cultural diversities. Is that kind of like what
Yes.
or what that might mean.
Right, because when when you talk to someone on a screen, you're not really getting to know them.
Right.
So you're not really getting to know about their culture, their background. So that just further marginalizes, this ethnic groups.
Yeah.
And and then on top of that, there's this whole psychological factor where people are not really connecting. There's not the human touch.
Yeah.
So I think that's one of the big things that's happening now with kids nowadays.
Yeah, because when you look at it, urban spaces, urban schools are, they're complex. It's not this homogenous. How would you say, like it's not a one size fits all. It's not homogenous. There's very like complex like racial dynamics that exist, and so yeah, that kind of like brings me into the one of the points or one of the topics that we talked about in class this week from Christopher Edmond. Christopher Edmond in his Ratchetdemic.
Oh
yeah. Because we live in this technology based era, if you will. Like we rely on it, and it's there 24/7. It's not going away. So you're gonna have those kids that are absorbed to like the phones, and then with that comes misbehavior, and oftentimes like loudness, or what some people might say like ratchet. So Edmund makes this point that we need to be educators that allow students to show up authentically in their classrooms, and to where they're not suppressed of their identities. Like how do we like take those concepts and apply them like in our own classrooms?
I think it's important to acknowledge their their background, their culture, their music, whatever celebrations they they practice, and even though it's not, if you can't fit it as a teacher, if we can't fit it into the curriculum, I think it's extremely important to just talk about it. Like tell us, hey, how was your that party, that gathering? How did you guys celebrate this? Oh, tell us about the Day of the Dead. At least just talk about it. It doesn't necessarily have to be in the curriculum, but if they are celebrated, if the students are seen and heard, then that's a big deal. Because like I said, I'm 48, and back then that definitely like this whole, it's like this beautiful ofrenda. Now I see this in elementary campuses. And that was never around when I was in school. And I grew up here in Dallas, and Dallas is a major city.
Right.
So now I feel like different cultures are being seen and celebrated. So I think that's something that we can do, as educators. And like I said, if you can't do something like this in the classroom, just talk about it. That kind of also brings us back to a point that Edmund critiques about like how academic or educational norms are like white centered. So that might alienate like students of color, and what he points us to is gay CRT that basically emphasizes the whole student, their education, their bodies, their spirit. It recognizes all of those, or this holistic approach, just to be short, that nurtures the whole student, emotionally, socially, academically. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and like I said, that's one of the things that we could do. Just talk to them.
Yeah.
Just and let them talk about it and listen to it.
Yeah.
Listen to them.
Yeah.